Hi, I'm Barbara Gustafson with Discover Next Step. Today, Project FXBG is highlighting a success story of a cancer survivor, and I'd like to welcome Joni Kanazawa.
Hi.
Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So if you can start with sharing with us some of your personal story, and also how has it helped you to be more active in your community?
Great question. I was diagnosed right after moving to Fredericksburg. At age 34, we were up here away from all of our friends and family, and found a lump in my breast while doing a self-exam in the shower. It was terrifying because I hadn't had made any connections with doctors, anybody, even the basic doctors, and I went straight to the big guns. And after finding the lump and was diagnosed with invasive carcinoma, I just went through cancer treatment, and it was a life-changing event for me.
And it's interesting because we have those turning points in our lives. I mean, you moved to Fredericksburg, that's a turning point right there, but to have one on top of the other can really just completely change your life. And being a mom and a woman, we wear so many hats and we take care of so many people. What was it like for you when you went from taking care of everybody else to focusing on yourself?
Trying to get established once we had, first moved up here, it was a challenge because we went from losing my husband's stepfather shortly after moving to my diagnosis. So we went from the typical household procedures of moving and getting settled, getting your child ready for a new school where she doesn't know anyone, my husband with a new job, and me trying to hold down, be the tie that binds and hold everybody together, be that glue and that stability when everything was changing. And it does change when cancer is thrown your way. There's no way of predicting it, but luckily we did, catch it early. But man, it rocked our world. But I know that being up here in this area, there was a reason for it, absolutely.
What would you say to women who are maybe struggling with asking for help when they've received a diagnosis?
Asking for help is completely humbling. I am someone who doesn't like to ask for help at all. And that has changed tremendously. I'm constantly asking now because I know that that's what we have to do to not put so much weight, not only on our shoulders, but on the shoulders of those in our household. I've heard the term co-survivor in reference to a spouse or a child. And they truly are, because there's so much that they're, trying to, hold together as well. So for someone who's newly diagnosed, just, I know it's tough, but both you and those loved ones around you have to ask for help, whether it be emotional support, financial support, because there's people who offer, but they're not exactly sure what to offer. They just say, let me know if I can help. So being the person to say, hey, I could use dinner on chemo nights, or I could use help cleaning my house. Any little thing, which is, again, very hard for the soul to give it up and say, I need help with this, especially when you're kind of a stubborn girl. And my husband is
relate to that.
My husband's very stubborn too. We don't, like to depend on others when we can typically do it ourselves. But I think this is something that is put in our path so that it opens our minds up to asking others and connecting with our community. In our case, it was a very new community who truly rallied around us.
And I love how you mentioned connecting with the community, and it sounds like that's how you've been able to work through this. And share more about what you're doing in our community that others might want to know about.
Well, after going through treatment and rocking it and trying to own it as best as I possibly could, I told my husband that it was time for me to pay it forward. I was actually an advocate prior to being diagnosed. I was cancer awareness advocate back home in Georgia. And then when we moved here, it was just amazing how all of those people who had been connections for me doing events and fundraising for others, they were the ones who turned out to rally and support our family.
Wow.
So Pink Heels, which is a wonderful organization, they're guardians of the ribbon. They have pink fire trucks and police cars, and they rally around not only women with cancer, but families that are going through any type of struggle and strife and hardships. And it started with cancer, and it slowly evolved to just being about women in our community. And all of those connections throughout the United States, as well as here in Virginia, started rallying around us.
That's wonderful. So where can people go to find out more about that event?
Pink Heels Color Rush is what we had. I told my husband, like I said, that I wanted to pay it forward, and sat in the kitchen and told him that I wanted to start a race. And so now every September we do a race that can be found. The information can be found on Facebook, for one thing.
Okay.
And we do a race. Since it's September, we raise money for pediatric cancer. Cancer is tough, but watching the little kids through what my family went through, we made so many connections with our community, like we were talking about. And some of those were, unfortunately, children that lost their battles, and that shouldn't happen. So the Pink Heels Color Rush, again, every September. And, find the information on I Am Athlete or on Facebook. And it's just an amazing event where we raise money, and all the money through Pink Heels stays local.